by Katie Rosseinsky, 56 minutes ago. Copyright Getty ImagesIf the Darjeeling Express had you planning trips to India, and the Grand Budapest Hotel prompted a pilgrimage to East Germany in search of pastel-hued buildings with implausibly symmetrical proportions. Brace yourself for another Wes Anderson-inspired holiday. The acclaimed director, who released the Tokyo-set stop-motion animation Isle of Dogs earlier this year, will shortly begin production on his next film, and has already pinpointed another photogenic location for his shoot. The feature, Anderson's 10th to date, will be filmed in Angoulême in southern France, according to a flurry of reports in the French press, with a 4-month production schedule set to begin in February 2019. As yet, details of plot and cast are scarce, though it is rumored to be set immediately after World War II. It's surely safe to assume that the director, who has a habit of working with a handful of collaborators over and over again, will call upon famous friends like the Wilson brothers and Bill Murray, who has appeared in every one of Anderson's films since 1998's Rushmore, for cameo appearances. Though he has lived in the country for years, it's the first time that Anderson has chosen to film in France. Copyright Getty Images. Angoulême is the capital of France's Charente region, found in the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region towards the southwest of the country. Though it's not frequently used as a backdrop for film and TV productions, it's easy to see what drew Anderson, who has a preference for filming entirely on location, to the city. Nicknamed the Balcony of the Southwest, it overlooks a river and is encircled by historic ramparts. It's home to a handful of old chateaux that wouldn't look out of place on the viral It Accidentally Wes Anderson Instagram account. It's also known as the capital of comic books, with trompe-l'oeil murals adorning walls all over the city. Though we'll be waiting a while for a release date to be confirmed, who's to say that you can't plan a trip in the meantime? Catch up on the films you can't miss in 2018, including Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, in the gallery below. Warner Bros.' prospect of a gender-flipped reboot doesn't always fill us with anticipation, but that's not the case with Ocean's 8, which has managed to cast Deep Breath, Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, Helena Bonham Carter, Sarah Paulson, Mindy Kaling, rapper and comedian Awkwafina, and Rihanna as a gang of con artists orchestrating a jewel heist at the Met Gala. Anne Hathaway plays their target. Given the star power involved, here's hoping they pull it off. Summer. The prospect of a gender-flipped reboot doesn't always fill us with anticipation, but that's not the case with Ocean's 8, which has managed to cast Deep Breath, Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, Helena Bonham Carter, Sarah Paulson, Mindy Kaling, rapper and comedian Awkwafina, and Rihanna as a gang of con artists orchestrating a jewel heist at the Met Gala. Anne Hathaway plays their target. Given the star power involved, here's hoping they pull it off. Summer. Having earned her first Oscar nomination, aged just 13, for Atonement a decade ago, Saoirse Ronan returns for another Ian McEwan book-to-film adaptation, this one with a script by McEwan himself. Based on the Booker-nominated novella and set in 1962, the year before sex began, as Philip Larkin would put it in Annus Mirabilis, on Chesil Beach follows a newly married couple on their honeymoon, tentatively preparing to navigate the physical and emotional awkwardness of their first night together. Billy Howell stars opposite Ronan, alongside Emily Watson and Anne-Marie Duff, the 15th of June, playing out like a millennial Cruel Intentions with darker laughs and an even darker ending. Thoroughbreds is as poised and fast-paced as its title would suggest. Anya Taylor-Joy and Olivia Cooke make a compellingly twisted duo as Lily and Amanda, two privileged Connecticut teens who drifted apart until the latter's mom bribes the former to assist her daughter with SAT prep. Type A Lily soon becomes fascinated by Amanda, and by whispered rumors about her pet horse's grim fate, too, and recruits her into an increasingly sinister campaign against her hateful stepfather. The 9th of March. Everyone's favorite guilty pleasure musical, OK, my favorite guilty pleasure musical, is back for a sequel that's also a prequel. Lily James plays the 20-something iteration of Meryl Streep's Donna, who's torn between younger versions of the three love interests we met in the first film. As the story jumps from past to present, the old gang of Amanda Seyfried, Dominic Cooper, Colin Firth et al. Is back, but a question mark hangs over Donna's fate. Luckily, Cher has been drafted in for a cameo to distract from her absence. The question that no one's asking, though, is how have the producers eked out a sequel when the first film tore through almost every song on ABBA, Gold? The 20th of July, 53 years after Mary Poppins floated into the London sky, umbrella in hand, Emily Blunt will take on Julie Andrews' iconic role in an all-singing, all-dancing sequel, and as far as recastings go, this one appears to be practically perfect in every way. Set in 1930s London, Mary Poppins Returns picks up with Jane and Michael Banks, played by Emily Mortimer and Ben Whishaw, as adults with children of their own. Meryl Streep, Colin Firth, Angela Lansbury, Julie Walters and Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's also worked on the musical numbers, round out an all-star cast. The 25th of December, Ryan Gosling reteams with La La Land director Damien Chazelle for a new biopic that's stratospheres away from his love letter to old Hollywood musicals. First Man follows Neil Armstrong, Gosling, as he prepares to make the first landing on the moon. The Crown's Claire Foy joins him as Janet, Armstrong's wife, in what will doubtless be her most awards-friendly role since taking on Queen Elizabeth II. Chazelle's film, which he's previously described as a mission movie over a straightforward biopic, has been in development since 2014, and features a script by Josh Singer, who wrote 2016's Best Picture winner Spotlight. Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg and the Pentagon Papers leak everything about the post implies guaranteed success come award season. Its subject matter, too, couldn't feel more timely. Streep plays Washington Post publisher Katharine Graham, the lone woman in the editorial boys club, as she grapples with the ethical implications of her paper publishing, or not publishing, a classified report which reveals how successive U.S. governments had stepped up the conflict in Vietnam. In other words, it's about holding those in power to account. A must-watch. The 19th of January. It doesn't arrive in cinemas until next month, but Black Panther, the first standalone movie in Marvel's extensive stable to be fronted by a black superhero, is already setting records, beating Captain America: Civil War to become the studio's most pre-ordered film in the 24 hours after tickets became available. As Chale, the hero of the title, Chadwick Boseman heads up a cast that features Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, Michael B. Jordan and Get Out's Daniel Kaluuya. Here's to a future where Marvel movies don't exclusively star white guys named Chris. The 12th of February. After 2016's inaugural Potter spin-off Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them comes the second in a planned 5-part series, bearing the ever-so-slightly cumbersome title The Crimes of Grindelwald. Plot details have, of course, been kept largely under wraps, but we can expect to see Eddie Redmayne's Newt Scamander teaming up with Jude Law's young Dumbledore to take down the Dark Wizard of the title. Johnny Depp's casting has, rightly, proved controversial. Can the producer's decision to stand by the star in the wake of domestic abuse allegations stand up in the Time's Up era? The 16th of November. Madeline Langell's fantasy epic isn't widely read this side of the Atlantic, but it's a beloved childhood favorite for many U.S. readers. Now, the novel is getting the Disney blockbuster treatment with Ava DuVernay, the woman behind Selma and last year's The 13th, on directing duties. Joining her to tell the story of Meg, played by 14-year-old Storm Reed, a young girl who travels through space and time in search of her missing scientist father, are Reese Witherspoon, Oprah Winfrey, Mindy Kaling and Chris Pine. The 9th of March. Fashioning a backstory for one of the most iconic screen characters of all time is no small task, and for a moment, it seemed like the latest addition to the Star Wars spin-off universe would end up trapped in development hell. The film's two directors, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, parted with Disney due to the classic creative differences halfway through production, with Ron Howard drafted in at last minute to wrap things up. All this behind-the-scenes drama only serves to make Solo, a Star Wars story, the more intriguing. set to mark a tonal shift from past installments. It's been billed as having a comedy meets western feel, whatever that means. It will see Alden Ehrenreich stepping into Harrison Ford's shoes, with Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian and Emilia Clarke, Woody Harrelson, Thandie Newton and Phoebe Waller-Bridge in as yet undisclosed roles. The 25th of May, and for Wes Anderson's follow-up to the Grand Budapest Hotel, aka the first harbinger of millennial pink. A stop-motion animation in the vein of his fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs is set in a dystopian Japan in which dogs have been confined to a garbage-strewn island after an outbreak of canine flu. This being a Wes Anderson movie, the likes of Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Edward Norton, Bryan Cranston and Jeff Goldblum are among those voicing the menagerie of canine characters. The 30th of March, Daniel Day-Lewis' last role. Or so he says. The three-time Oscar winner has a habit of announcing a career break then making a suitably dramatic return. Sees him play a twisted 1950s couturier in Phantom Thread. So far, the film, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, has garnered 5-star reviews across the board and a clutch of awards nominations, too. While the dreamy new look style ball gowns are worthy of a real-life runway, the 2nd of February they say the truth is stranger than fiction. That seems, at least, to be entirely correct when it comes to the curious case of Olympic figure skater Tonya Harding, who fell from grace when she became implicated in a brutal attack on Nancy Kerrigan, her teammate and rival. To play Tonya, and to play against her superlative looks, Margot Robbie was transformed with layer upon layer of prosthetics. A classic awards tactic, yes, but one that's apparently paid off. Her performance has so far earned nominations from both the Golden Globes and the BAFTAs. The 16th of February, Jennifer Lawrence goes full femme fatale in Red Sparrow, playing a Russian ballerina who's forcibly recruited by the Secret Service. Once she has been trained up as a super spy, she begins to question her loyalties when she embarks upon a relationship with a CIA agent. Based on that synopsis, we're expecting glossy, high-octane thrills, with J. Law back in quasi-superheroine mode after a post-Hunger Games and X-Men lull. Charlotte Rampling, Joel Edgerton and Matthias Schoenaerts also star. The 2nd of March, if you were enchanted by the dark dreamscape of Pan's Labyrinth, Guillermo del Toro's fantastical Spanish Civil War allegory, prepare to get excited for The Shape of Water, a 60s set love story that's also a B-movie thriller. Sally Hawkins is expected to pick up an Oscar nomination for her performance as a mute cleaning lady who's captivated by a fishman hybrid held in the high-security lab where she works. A touching romance that's far from the Hollywood norm unfolds, and like many of this year's awards hopefuls, it's not hard to read between the lines to infer a timely message, one of tolerance and acceptance. The 14th of February, if you haven't already caught Molly's Game, the directorial debut from West Wing screenwriter Aaron Sorkin, may we kindly recommend that you do so ASAP. Flawlessly delivering Sorkin's trademark mile-a-minute dialogue, Jessica Chastain gives an electrifying, can't-take-your-eyes-off-the screen performance as Molly Bloom, the former Olympic skier who became the host of an underground Hollywood poker game which eventually counted A-listers and billionaires among its players. Out now, Saoirse Ronan stars as the ill-fated Mary Stuart, the Scottish queen who became embroiled in intrigue when she made a play for the British throne, in this first screen effort from Josie Rourke, the departing Donmar Warehouse creative director. It also marks Margot Robbie's 2nd film make-under of the year, decked out in ashy white makeup and a flaming red wig to play Elizabeth I, Mary's cousin and rival. The likes of David Tennant, Guy Pearce and Joe Alwyn also star. November, from the director of Ex Machina, Alex Garland, comes Annihilation, a sci-fi horror thriller mashup that promises to be just as cerebral and troubling as its predecessor. Based on the novel by U.S. writer Jeff Vandermeer, it'll star Natalie Portman as a biologist who joins an all-female expeditionary group featuring Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez and Tessa Thompson, venturing into an environmental disaster zone. If new reports prove correct, it's set sidestep a cinema release in the UK, instead dropping onto our Netflix dashboards this spring. spring, a pitch-black tragicomedy from the writer of In Bruges, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri sees Frances McDormand as a grieving mother burning with righteous anger after local police are no closer to catching her daughter's killer 1 year on from the murder. She rents a trio of billboards in an attempt to shame them out of their stupor. While the film has already proved critically divisive, with its problems centering around the racist cop played by Sam Rockwell, McDormand's blistering foul-mouthed performance is certainly worth your attention. Out now. As far as concepts go, Greta Gerwig directing Saoirse Ronan in a coming-of-age story set in early 90s California might sound too good to be true, but that's Lady Bird's exact premise. Having already proved a major hit with U.S. cinemagoers and critics, landing, for a time, the coveted 100% rating on review aggregate Rotten Tomatoes, it'll finally arrive on UK screens in the thick of awards season in February. Manchester by the Sea's Lucas Hedges and Call Me By Your Name's Timothée Chalamet pop up as the self-nicknamed Lady Bird's love interests, while Laurie Metcalf is generating Oscar buzz with her nuanced performance as the title character's mother. The 16th of February, the best Netflix shows to beat the Sunday blues.